We are down here at Carnoustie for Golf World's Open Preview. I'm Jerram, this is editor Nick Wright, and we have reached the sixth. The famous Hogan's Alley is behind us, and we've had a look, and right now, slightly benign conditions, but we're not quite sure what the fuss is about. Nick, what are you thinking?
Yeah, as we were walking up from the fifth hole, for the fifth fairway, we glanced over and we were expecting like a really narrow strip of land. It's the first time I've actually been up here in a long time, and so it's a lot more generous off the tee than we thought. And the big thing we've really kind of struggled with is, what's the alternative? You look down the hole here and you've got the strip of fairway between the out of bounds on the left and the pot bunkers on the right, but it doesn't seem there's any other play. So we're really struggling to see where the alternative shot is off the tee.
Yeah, realistically for the modern player, we can't see it being a problem. The front of the pot bunker, nearest pot bunker, is actually only about 180. I mean, realistically, it's a par 5. If they want to be going for it in two, the likes of DJ and Rory will just be flying it. There's plenty of space behind, and obviously with the older clubs that Hogan would have been using, yes, that would have been well in play. But now, even off this championship tee, we can't see it being a problem particularly. We'll probably prove otherwise in a couple of minutes when we hit, but let's give it a go. So we've teed off. Nick's taken Hogan's Alley on and won, I think.
Yeah, so far so good by the looks of it.
I've hit a little bit of a fade. Not quite sure where I am yet, but it looks like there's a little bit of space to the right of the pot bunkers. I don't think either of us are in any particular trouble, but right now, I mean, there's barely a breath of wind right now. So come Open Championship, if the wind's up and you're playing into, this is going to be a really tough tee shot.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing. I just hit that drive as well as I possibly could, right down the middle of the fairway here, right into the middle of Hogan's Alley. It bisected the fairway between the bunker and the out of bounds, but look how close I am here to the white posts. I'm about 4 or 5 paces, so it just shows that not only do you need to hit it well, you need a little bit of good luck, because a bad kick or a bounce off a contour can really take you close to the out of bounds. So, but the interesting thing here for me is that we've got bunkers to the right here, and for the modern tour pro, I think you're really going to see these guys just take the drive straight over the top of these bunkers into this kind of big area fairway here and leave themselves, a couple of 100 yards into the green. A bit different shot for us as amateurs. So we've got about 270 yards left, and the green is very narrow, it's angled slightly away, and it's surrounded by bunkers. So it's really a layup anyway. So I'm going to just hit a hybrid into the fat part of the fairway down the hole there.
Okay, so I've hit a 5-wood off the tee, a safe approach I thought, but actually as you can see I've come up just right of this bunker, which means I'm not actually in Hogan's Alley, but I am in what you would consider quite a safe area. I've got quite a nice finish. I don't think this will be an issue for the pros at all. They will fly this area here. There's a lot of space down there, but for me a sensible approach with the 5-wood means that now a hybrid, probably aiming on that hut and just fading it into a gap down there. There's a hazard on the right, and the green is totally out of play for us, but the pros, they will be going for this in two and comfortably up and around the green in two, looking for birdie or better. Okay.
So the interesting thing for me about this hole, I don't know about you, Rob, but as we came up the fifth, we looked over and we saw the gap, the Hogan's Alley between the bunkers and the out of bounds. We thought, that looks fairly generous to me. I don't know what really all the fuss is about.
Yeah, indeed.
But as we got down the fairway and we got closer to our balls, we suddenly thought, my word, this landing area has shrunk a lot. It looks a lot narrower once we got down here than when we were standing on the tee even.
Yeah, indeed. And you were tight to the left, even though you hit a perfect drive. I played it a little bit safer, but could have been in the bunker realistically. And then your second shot, you think it's going to be quite easy. This hazard snakes in over here, and then obviously the contouring pushes your ball. And as you come down towards the green, you've actually got 5 bunkers, 3 of which on the right hand side really attract your eye, particularly with the pin position today. So you tend to play safer, but what you don't realise down here is there's actually a huge cavernous bunker in front of this grandstand. So when you're trying to play safe, you might not realise, and you might end up in there as well, leaving yourself, as you can see, a really tricky putt on a really difficult green.
And the other interesting thing for me as well is that every kind of shot that you have on this hole, all you can see is trouble. So when you stand on the tee, even though that alley looks a little generous, all you can see is the out of bounds. Then when you get to your shot in the fairway, all you can see is the burn on the right and a narrow landing area. You're not really sure the distance or where the ball's going to finish. And then when you get here, you see 5 bunkers surrounding the green, but you've actually got quite a bit of land. So while the hazards are visually intimidating when you're about to play the shot, when you actually get to your landing area, you see there's actually quite a generous amount of land to play with usually. So it looks it's a hole that actually looks very intimidating for every shot you play, but there's actually a lot of room once you know the hole well. Okay, so here we both hit pitches into what we thought was the heart of the green, but they've come, very, very close to the bunker. And this shows here what the difference is really, for what a difference sort of 6 or 8 feet can make in your landing area. I've come up a little bit short, and I've got a fairly straight putt. There's a little bit of break from left to right, but Rob here's got a really nasty one. He's got to take it up over that hump on the left here. Again, shows you how these bunkers creep into these greens. The bunkers there extending kind of into the left side of that, and Rob there standing about 4 or 5 feet above the level of where his ball is right now. So he's got to send the ball really up into the top of that slope and let him ferry it down. Capital, it's cold, and it's about 50 feet in length as well. So going to be a very, very good effort if you can get it close from here. I'll take that. I think both of us would have taken that. We both walked off the green there just about with pars, 2 good putts at the end, saved our score there. But I don't know about you, Rob, but I thought that was an epic par 5, and obviously it's the signature hole on the front 9 here at Carnoustie, and what I really loved about it was it gave you a decision, and a challenge on every single shot. So from the tee, we thought the Hogan's Alley avenue down the left was fairly generous, but it wasn't until we got up there we realised, how close my ball landed after what looked like a perfect drive, how close it landed to the out of bounds. A little bit of contouring can kick the ball into trouble very, very easily. Second shot, you're aiming up to quite a generous bit of land, but the burn creeps in on the right, so anything pushed is going to gobble up a ball. Anything sliced is, you're in trouble. And then you've got, maybe 100 yards, 80 yards into a green that slopes a little, that kind of angles away from you a little bit, and it's protected by a trio of deep bunkers on the right and a very large bunker on the left. And those bunkers, as we said, creep into the putting surface, so it's actually fairly narrow and leaves you with some kind of very sloping putts to negotiate. So even just getting on the green in 2 or 3 shots doesn't mean you're going to necessarily walk off with a safe birdie or a safe par. You've got some considerable breaks to consider.
Indeed, yeah. I could have walked off with I was lucky. I've walked off with a 2 putt. I could have walked off with a 3, 4 or 5 putt if it had gone wrong. And we got lucky on the way down there. On the tee, we were a little bit like, don't understand the fear really, but once you get down there, that's when you understand how narrow it is and how much danger there is, and the hazard creeps in on the right hand side. And then, if you go for it in 2, we obviously went in 3, and even then we've hit pitches that we thought were safe, but those bunkers are all in play. We think that might well be a Sunday pin position. It's difficult, tucked behind those bunkers on the right, so you try and play safe, and then you can end up in trouble, and you leave yourself with the putts, which is the one that myself and Nick faced, both of which proved tricky for their own reasons. So yeah, an epic par 5. I'll expect to see a lot of birdies and maybe some eagles, but if that wind blows, because we've just played it in very still conditions, even though it's cold, if that wind's up, it'll be a really, really tough par 5, and I'll be interested to see how the pros play it.